Hey, what is up guys? It is your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be looking at S4 Centaur. Centaur is arguably, well, I'm going to say definitely the best offlaner of this current patch. After many buffs to his hero, which we'll go over in a bit, and a massive buff to Vanguard, Centaur has quickly catapulted to a first pick, first ban hero in the pro scene and should likely be the same in your pubs, and let's go over why. And I'd also like to let you guys know that I just made a full-length replay review of a Terrorblade game I played over on the gameleap website. It's not going to come to YouTube, so if you're interested in content like that, really, you guys know I try to give you the best information, and I do really believe in gameleap, especially the videos I've been making as of late are very high quality, in-depth, educational content that, you know, it's a lot of fun to watch, and it's going to help you get to the next level. It's going to help you gain rank. Alright, let's get into the video. Alright, so let's hop into it by quickly going over all the changes. Number 1, his hoof stomp is now a bigger radius. In the past, you would slightly miss the stun, especially in the laning stage, but now this 15 increase to the radius prevents that from happening. Number 2, the cast point on Double Edge was buffed, so was the shard, but you don't really buy the shard. Next, Retaliate was buffed. It is now 3% better at max when it comes to strength or turn damage. And finally, and most importantly, the cooldown of your ultimate was reduced from 110, 190 to just straight up 90, which is a 20-second buff at level 1. Pretty freaking nuts, if you ask me. Now, to be fair, the damage was actually reduced on it, but it doesn't matter. You would typically use Stampede to engage or disengage, not to secure kills in the regard of doing damage, and therefore this is simply a massive buff. And last but not least, Vanguard being 100 gold cheaper and 10% more willing to block. Yeah, this hero might have received like 6 big buffs. Alright, getting into our laning stage, let's talk about this like weird starting item build. Well, Quelling Blade has been nerfed like 18 times in a row now. The item really is just much worse than it used to be. I think Quelling Blade quite a bit back was like 18 damage, I think. Now it's 12, which is just so meh. It was nerfed again in the most recent patch, and so a lot of players have simply opted to completely skip the item and instead go for a Bracer. Bracer gives you 8 damage, obviously not as much as Quelling, but it gives you 8 damage, which can be used on denies, 2 agility, 2 intelligence, and the HP regen was buffed to 1. So this item is quite a bit better now. I'm a little bit on the fence about it, but players seem to be buying it, and so all in all, it's just a really high sustain item that you can use with tangos. Now on the laning stage, your formula is very simple. The craziest thing about this hero is the fact that most heroes can't trade 1v1 with him. Why? Because you have pretty good armor, you have a Bracer, you have Retaliate, which you're maxing now, right? So now you take this spell Retaliate, which means that every time someone hits you, they take 30 damage plus 26% of your strength, which, you know, isn't too much in the early game. That's about 10 extra damage, but still, 40 damage every time they hit you. Considering the fact that that's about what they will do on average, yeah, most heroes can't really trade with Centaur. And keep in mind, if you get good at last hitting and denying, which is something I always stress if you want to become a better player, it's even something that I'm going to be working on in my own game in these next couple weeks. I really do feel like I've fallen off a bit in my CS and denying prowess, but it is something you really need to master as a core. Like, you don't realize how good these players are. Like, if you start playing against top players, which I haven't necessarily done recently, but even tier 2 players, right, which I play constantly against, the last hitting and denying skills of these players is far better than you could know. They're incredibly good at denying, CSing, timing everything, pulling creep aggro, and so on. And really, it's tough to lane against. Yeah, and really, in terms of the lane, don't worry too much about going for kills, assuming the person you're against is a hero like Void, maybe it's Ursa, Warlock, right? Some sort of sustain lane. I would say the general counter to Centaur, if you guys are curious, is I really do believe a big one is sustain lanes. There's a couple other heroes that, you know, just naturally counter him. But yeah, definitely a big one is heroes like Void, right? They can simply get away from the stun combo. But if you're against a hero like PA, or you just want to get kills in general, go for the position 5, right? Go for the position 5, or go for heroes that don't have built-in sustain, and pick Centaur with either Shadow Demon or Lion. These are the 2 main ones that I've seen. Actually 3, the third one is Rubik, right? All 3 of these heroes have nice setup for the stomp, but I definitely believe that Shadow Demon and Lion are the best, as their setup stuns also do damage while Rubik's doesn't. And so picking those 2 heroes with Centaur is pretty broken. But yeah, now as you can see, this is what you want to be going for. About 30 CS at the 5-minute mark. It's very easy to last hit with Centaur. Very, very easy. And yeah, you want to pick up a Vanguard. No small items. Do not buy anything else. And yeah, no one can fight you anymore. Basically the lane is over. There is essentially no hero that can pressure you besides like maybe Timbersaw, maybe Batrider, mid Pugna, you know, maybe like Tusk plus 2 heroes. But all in all, you know, as long as you have like a general sense of what can kill you, you're typically never going to die. And when you hit this Vanguard timing, what you want to start doing is just auto-attacking the enemy carry, right? As long as they're not under their tower, which frankly, even that isn't that bad, you can just start hitting them, right? So you'll see when S4 gets into a better position, they'll just start playing really, really aggressive. Even as I said, right, Void is a counter matchup to Centaur, but even then you will see S4 just begin to hit the Void from time to time, as long as it doesn't cost him any free denies or free last hits. So in this game in particular, he makes a really nice adjustment that I think is super smart. Centaur, for whatever reason, well, it's Retaliate, can take Ancients. He takes them really quickly, and this is something if I end up playing the hero, I'll be doing myself. If you cannot pressure the enemy carry, right? So Void, as I said, does not really care too much about Centaur. So if that's not the case, what you want to do is give your position for the lane. So currently, Alliance knows that the Void has no chrono. Void basically has no kill threat on essentially anyone at this point in the lane, and therefore you can just give your Shadow Demon the lane. This is fantastic, right? Shadow Demon's level 3. His levels are not only more important than Centaur's at this point, but also are easier to get. This is absolutely the perfect play. No kill threat? Okay, just go jungle, right? No kill threat on either end. It's really the perfect time to do it, because he doesn't have to protect his position 4. He doesn't need to force any rotations. So instead, you'll see him just shredding the Ancients. Like literally, he kills them so quickly. It's actually kind of scary. Now, if you ever manage winning your lane or the hero that bullies you ever leaves your lane, that's when you want to start looking to take the tower. With this Vanguard buff, you'll notice that every single time it procs, Vanguard basically soaks 100% of a tier 1 tower's damage. Yeah, you heard that correctly. 60% of the time, you don't take damage. By the way, Retaliate reflects damage to the tower every single time, regardless of if you block it or not. And so essentially you'll see him take the tower here. Now, unfortunately, Kuroki comes in with his DD and just kills them both. It was pretty sad, but hey, they got a tier 1 tower. In most circumstances, it's a completely free tower. And then after you take that tower, you go back to flash farming. And this is the formula of Centaur right now. It's extremely, extremely easy to execute on. The laning stage is extremely easy to execute on. The item build is extremely straightforward. You can copy what he went this game, every single game in your pubs, and you'll be fine. Now, there are some exceptions on when you want to go blink. I think the games you want to go blink are when your teammates have a lot of kill potential, or you think you really need to make plays to open up the map. And when I say make plays, you need to kill heroes. Let's say the enemy's mid laner is a puck, and the puck's having a good game, and your safe laner's a PO who needs to be protected from the puck. Maybe you need to buy a blink so that you can respond to puck ganks. But in this game, he's got a Jug. Jug is fine. Jug had a good start. He's not going to probably take any damage. Same thing with DK. DK's chilling. Probably won't die in the early game. You know, even if they do, it's going to take them, the enemy team, a long time to kill. And so instead, he can go the greedier build. At least I consider it the greedier build of the Hood and Vanguard. And basically, when you buy Hood Vanguard, you just run down a lane. Yeah, you heard that right. You just run down a lane. Sometimes you jungle, and it's kind of just, yeah, rinse, repeat at that point. You're going to see he's going to walk mid here. Basically, at this point of the game, after you take the bottom tier 1, the reason why Centaur is so nice is you take this bottom tier 1, it opens it up for your carry. Your carry can then walk bottom, start farming up this entire portion of the map, which is incredibly valuable, right? All of this. He can just take this, this, and this, right? The tri-camp plus these camps. Extremely nice for any Battle Fury carry, or just, you know, a hero like Jug who has no problem playing in this portion of the map. And yeah, then you start forcing rotations mid. What I mean by this is basically the enemy team has to make up their mind, right? They have to make up their mind. Walk mid and fight a Centaur, right? Run out of Centaur so he doesn't take our tier 1, or let him take the tier 1. You put them into this terrible dilemma. And you'll see S4, yep, you're just gonna walk up, start tanking it. You can see with the Warlock, literally 0 damage. Pretty funny. Now the enemy team obviously wants to take a fight, but very simple execution. Egg comes out, pop your Stampede. It's only a 90-second cooldown. It's not even that long, right? Compared to something like Egg, right, which is a 120-second cooldown. he can make this play again in 90 seconds, and there will be no egg, and he can simply take the tower. Now, in this case, because of how strong he is, well, you know, he's having a pretty good game. The enemy team, especially the Slaughter, was definitely pretty underleveled, but he can always bring attention to mid. It's really funny. I even think Nigma sort of makes the mistake of overcommitting on a Centaur. You know, you can kill Centaur if he's hitting your tower and like dropping kind of low, but trying to kill a Centaur from full HP, yeah, it definitely wasn't Nigma's best move, and it causes them to lose Miracle. And believe it or not, you guys want to guess what he's gonna do next? Yeah, he's gonna walk mid and try to take the tower. And you can see, guys, if you do all these things correctly in pubs, and I'm gonna lay it out for you one more time. In the laning stage, right? In the laning stage, get CS. When you get Vanguard, get CS and pressure the carry. When no one's in your lane or they don't threaten you at all, get CS, pressure the carry, and take the tower. Once you've taken the tower, you can jungle a little bit if there's nothing to do, but if there's a mid-tier one and the enemy team doesn't easily kill you, right, it takes them a lot to kill you like it does in this game, walk up to the mid-tier one and start to pressure. You need to master, right, you need to master the art of baiting rotations and not feeding, right? It really is a big skill. How far can you go? How much pressure? How many rotations can you force without dying? This is a very hard skill. I've not mastered this. I've not even close to mastered this because it is almost impossible to master, but you'll see S4 continuing to do this over and over again, wasting the time of Nigma. And the cool thing here is that Centaur doesn't really need items. Yeah, Blink is great, and you'll see him taking a neutral camp here because you can, but the reality is you don't need items. As I said, the Blink does need to come online eventually, but frankly, by pushing mid-tower, you'll kill mid-wave, and you'll eventually get to your dagger and shut down the enemy team's timings even more. Now, getting into the mid and late game, your job is pretty simple. You're going to initiate essentially every single fight, right? You want to stun people that your team can follow up on. But getting back into a more important point here, you're going to notice that he has phase boots this game. I think phase boots is something you should buy almost every Centaur game. Wow, what a stomp. That was a beautiful stomp in that fight into 3 heroes. But the reason why I like phase boots, number one, Centaur gets kited in fights. Sounds kind of weird. It's like, but you have Stampede. But it only lasts for like 4 seconds. Unless the fight ends in 4 seconds, which would be great. If your team can kill them that fast, okay, cool. But for the most part, that's not going to happen. And so having phase boots basically prevents the enemy from completely ignoring you. A big problem with Centaur getting into the mid-late game is he doesn't necessarily do like the most damage, right? Double Edge is pretty good, Stomp is okay, Ulti's alright, but people will tend to ignore you, right? And so it's really crucial that you buy phase boots and the Blink Dagger, right? Obviously you're going to buy Blink, but these items in combination will prevent that issue from really coming into play. On top of that, another thing I'd like to note is that he completely skipped his 10 talent. While they are both okay, HP regen is alright and movement speed is alright, clearly just values getting more points in the Double Edge so that he threatens the enemy team even more, right? He just wants to be even more of a threat to the enemy in team fights. Another thing I'd like to note that's a bit more advanced is, you know, you essentially want to take the hard farm the whole game. Now, how do you identify what the hard farm is? Because it can switch all the time. You have to look at the enemy heroes and say, what do they excel at, right? What do they excel at, and where is our vision? So right here at this point of the game, you'll see him sort of pushing out mid, right? Being a little bit hesitant to do it. And that's because he knows he dies. Slaughter is one of the hardest Centaur counters in the game because he chain stuns you so you can't stampede. And Centaur has a lot of armor issues, right? And you'll see right here, he only has 12. And so he can't really play that aggressive. However, if it's a much easier game, the enemy team has like, I don't know, just like a bunch of right clickers for some reason that you completely can just block with a Vanguard / Crimson Guard / armor item. Well, then he would want to push up this mid wave really hard. On top of that, if the enemy team is top, you want to farm mid. If the enemy team is top and you're farming bottom, you're probably just griefing the game. You don't want to completely mirror their movements. Carries want to completely mirror the movements, especially a hero like Jug in a game like this where they have many spin TP cancels. Right, well, in that case, you really don't want to put the Jug in harm's way. You want to send the Jug as far away as possible from the enemy team while you scout out rotations, bait kills, things like that. And that's exactly what he's doing here. You could see Nico Baby is in the bottom lane. He's shoving out mid, breaking smokes, kind of just forcing the enemy team into a weird position. I like what he does here, right? Breaks smokes, disengages. Remember, you're not an invincible tank, especially against your counters, heroes like CENTAUR. You can die, so please play like you can die. Now in this team fight, I'd like to go over target execution here. I think this actually can teach me and teach you guys a lot about, what is a good jump. At least in the eyes of S4, who is definitely one of the best players in the world. So in this team fight here, you'll see that there's a Slaughter walking up the hill. Now, going on Slaughter would be okay. It would be alright. But Miracle in this case ends up jumping the backline. So immediately you'll see CENTAUR goes for a stomp onto Miracle. Now, funny enough, it ends up being kind of a grief. After all, Limp jumped him too, so pretty bad in that regard. But why is it a good jump technically from S4 and Limp, disregarding the fact that they just changed stuns? The reason for that is because Jug's nearby. And essentially, whenever you're playing these initiators, you want to make sure you actually have damage to follow up. A lot of the time, people will make this mistake of hitting like a 2 or 3 man stun instead of a 1-man stun, when the 1-man stun would lead to a kill, and the 2 or 3-man stun would lead to nothing. For instance, if here, Mind Control and ILTW were both stacked together at the bottom of the stairs, it still wouldn't be a good jump. Unless those heroes can prevent the miracle kill, which in that case, yeah, if you're buying time and you're that advanced where, Limp is on the case, that's alright. But you guys kind of see why that's kind of complex, and in general, you just want to stomp heroes that can be followed up on. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. And so that's exactly what they do here, and they instantly blow up. They instantly blow up Miracle, super value. And another reason why that's good is when you jump a hero like that and you lead in, it's very common that you're going to get focused because you're in the middle of the fight. And that's what you want. You want to get focused. And so if you jump the backline, a lot of the time you might not get focused. And therefore, you're probably not doing your job. And one last thing I want to add about this fight is that it's okay to kite out on these tanky heroes. You see in this fight here, I think a lot of people would have kind of just run in and said, yeah, I'm a tank. My team's going in. I have to go in. That's not necessarily true in Dota. If you have a stun up in 5 seconds, that stun is a lot more valuable than tanking 2 auto attacks from a Slaughter, right? And so that's exactly what he does here. He has some patience. I think he considered running in for his Q. Even here, I think this was a bit of a mistake. Probably should have just had a bit more patience. He was definitely panicking a little bit, right? Nico Baby was dying, and so he's like, oh, my carry. But the reality is, him going in there to try to save his carry actually griefed him a little bit. Pretty funny, right? It actually ended up griefing a little bit. And so instead, he can kite to the outside, right? Completely kite to the outside. Look to jump this void. That's exactly what he does. And because of that kite, they pick up a huge kill onto ILTW. And yeah, well played fight by S4. Alright, and that's going to be the end of this video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed and learned a lot about CENTAUR. I definitely recommend picking in your pubs. This hero is pretty freaking nuts. I mean, like, literally, it's just, I don't know, everything is in the right spot for it in this patch. It seems to literally not lose to a single hero. Like, I can't think of a safe laner that just, like, beats CENTAUR, right? Like, I don't know. You guys could let me know. I even made a meta counters video, which I still stick by, but, it's just brutal, man. Vanguard's just broken. I don't know what to say. It's just a broken item. Thanks for watching. Go buy some Vanguards. I don't know. Go pick Ench, buy a Vanguard. Pick Slaughter, buy a Vanguard. Phoenix, doesn't matter. AM, doesn't matter. Buy a Vanguard. I'll see you guys in the next one, and I'm out. Peace. And that's all. But remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the GameLeap website where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.